As you know, one of the storylines about Friday night, will Steve Perry be there? Let me ask you, what would it be like to see him if he's there?
Well, you know what? I haven't seen him in a long time since we did Rock and Roll Hall. The Rock Walk of Fame in L.A. And it was great seeing him then. So I don't imagine it being any different. I mean, you know, I have high regard for him, I had a lot of love for him, and we made some timeless music.
What really happened between Neal Schon and Steve Perry? Could their fractured friendship and fiery disputes over Journey's legacy be more complex than we thought? Neal Schon speaks up about Steve Perry. He breaks his silence, revealing untold truths about the band's history, money battles, and a friendship turned sour. Neal Schon reflects on Journey's history and relationship with former lead vocalist Steve Perry, revealing long-standing tensions over the band's legacy and financial matters. Starting as friends, their dynamic soured as Perry joined the band, feeling pressure to prove himself amidst Shon's high expectations. Disputes arose, particularly concerning Perry's continued financial involvement post-departure. Legal battles ensued, with Perry briefly suing over song copyrights in 2022, further straining their relationship. Born in the hustle and bustle of Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma, Neal Joseph Schon arrived as the child of Matthew and Barbara Shon. His family tree is adorned with roots from Germany and Italy. His father, a gifted musician, was well known in the big band music scene and contributed largely as an arranger and composer. His knack for playing and teaching reed instruments, especially the jazz tenor saxophone, was remarkable. Neal's mother, too, was deeply ingrained in the music scene as a big band singer. Young Neal embarked on his musical journey playing the guitar at age 10. He was a part of the student community at Aragon High School, located in San Mateo, California. However, his passion for music was intense, and it didn't take long for him to leave school behind to chase his musical dreams. An eager learner and born musician, Neal joined the band Santana when he was 17, back in 1971. His exceptional talent had even caught the eye of Eric Clapton, who wanted to bring him into Derek and the Dominoes. But his path led him to Santana, and he became a significant part of the Santana 3 and Caravanserai albums. In addition, he also played for the band Azteca. At 1973, Neal embarked on a new journey. He co-established the group Golden Gate Rhythm Section alongside Greg Rowley and manager Herbie Herbert. This group later got a makeover, and, following a suggestion by roadie John Villanueva, was given the name we all know today, Journey. Shon's style of playing the guitar is greatly inspired by legendary guitarists like B.B. King, Albert King, Robert Johnson, Muddy Waters, John Lee Hooker, Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton, Carlos Santana, Jimmy Page, and Jimmy Green. Besides his solo albums and his work with Journey, Shon also explored other musical endeavors, such as working on a couple of albums with keyboard player Jan Hammer. Moreover, he has had fleeting collaborations with other renowned artists, such as Sammy Hagar, in the form of projects named HSAS and Planet Us, and Paul Rogers. He also got the chance to be a part of Bad English, a supergroup that comprised Journey's Jonathan Cain and Dean Castronovo, along with Cain's former colleagues from the band Babies, John Waite and Ricky Phillips, and Hardline, which included Castronovo as well. Moving to the next phase of his illustrious career, even while Journey's current lineup continues to enthrall their ardent followers, Shon has delved deep into side projects. Some include Piranha Blues, which came out in 1999, Black Soup Cracker, a funk group featuring former Prince colleagues Rosie Gaines and Michael Bland, and Soul Circus, where he worked with Jeff Scott Soto. But Shon's musical touches can be felt beyond these. He has lent his magic to other albums, too. For instance, you can hear him play on 3 songs on Michael Bolton's album, The Hunger, with his unique sound especially noticeable on the track Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. He also teamed up with Larry Graham to form an all-star band for Betty Davis, an iconic funk artist and the former wife of Miles Davis. Furthermore, Shon and Journey's then-manager Herbie Herbert contributed to Lenny White's 1977 album Big City. The instrumental Jam and We Meet Again was a notable highlight from this album. Shon put on a special charity concert on 9 February in the year 2018. This event took place at the Independent, a famous venue in San Francisco, and all the proceeds went to aid the North Bay fire relief efforts. The team he assembled for this occasion was made up of top-notch musicians. Among them were Dean Castronovo, a former drummer for the band Journey, who also contributed his voice for some of the songs, and ex-Journey keyboardist Greg Rowley. Marco Mendoza, a bassist from the Dead Daisies, also joined the band. The energy and magic from this concert were captured and turned into a live album and DVD, unveiled on the 19th day of May in 2023. Moving on to the next year, 2019, Shon made an exciting announcement. He was preparing for a tour. But it wasn't just any tour. This one would be called Neal Shon's Journey Through Time. He confirmed the return of his musical companions from the charity concert. Castronovo, Rowley, and Mendoza were all set to join him on this journey. Fast-forwarding to the year 2022, Shon was invited to perform at a significant sporting event. He played his rendition of The Star-Spangled Banner on his electric guitar, setting the tone for the opening game of the NBA Finals that year. His performance was both heartfelt and mesmerizing, truly capturing the spirit of the occasion. Neal Shon's journey with guitars started with a simple acoustic Stella. 2 years later, he moved on to a Gibson ES-335. But when this beloved instrument got stolen, he chose to replace it with a vintage reissue, a '56 Les Paul Gold Top. He stuck with this one for a long time, showing his undying love for Gibson guitars. However, Shon's guitar collection didn't stop at Gibson's. He has also experimented with other brands like Fender and Ovation. During Journey's departure tour, these were his guitars of choice. Regarding choice, Shon's preference ranged from a limited edition signature Les Paul model to the Neal Schon signature model custom Les Paul. Produced in an extremely limited run by Gibson, they made only 35 of this model, according to the Gibson Custom website. His affinity for experimenting with different brands led him to use Godin guitars while working on his 1995 solo album titled Beyond the Thunder. Recently, Shon seems to have developed a liking for Paul Reed Smith guitars. And let's not forget the latter part of the 80s, when Shon decided to create his line of guitars. He collaborated with Jackson Guitars and later Larrivee. These guitars were simply named Shon, and the Jackson-produced models were limited to about 200. Fast forward to 2008, Shon's preferences had evolved even more. His choice then veered towards guitar pedals from Zotic. He also fancied a Vox Satriani model and, occasionally, a Buddy Guy Wah pedal. It's incredible to see how Shon's journey with guitars has been as diverse and ever-evolving as his musical career. Shon's journey of relationships began with his first wife, Tina Austin, back in the year 1976. 10 years later, their union ended, and he later found love with Beth Buckley in 1987. They became parents to 2 lovely children during their 5-year togetherness. Sadly, this chapter also had to close, and by 1993, Shon was saying "I do" to Dina Gioeli. The couple chose to part ways in 1999. As the new millennium dawned in 2001, Shon was again ready to embark on a new marital journey with Amber Kozan. Their love story was blessed with 2 more offspring before they finally decided to separate in 2008. Life does have its ways, and in the year 2011, Shon was once again ready to explore the joys of love with Michele Salahi. They had been partners previously in the 90s. Their romantic tale took a lovely twist on October 14, 2012, when Shon surprised Salahi by proposing to her with a magnificent oval diamond ring boasting 12 carats at a charity concert. They took their vows on December 15, 2013, in a wedding ceremony broadcast live from the Palace of Fine Arts in the heart of San Francisco, California. On a different note, Shon has shared that he suffers from an ailment known as tinnitus. This condition is often found in individuals who have spent a lot of time in the music scene. It's a persistent ringing noise in the ears, something not uncommon for musicians. On the other hand, Stephen Ray Perry was born into a family of Portuguese descent who hailed from the Azores. He had no brothers or sisters, making him an only child. His father, Raymond Perry, owned a piece of radio station, KNGS, and also lent his voice as a vocalist. This naturally piqued Perry's interest in music from a young age. However, when Perry was 8, his parents decided to part ways. After the split, Perry and his mother lived on his grandparents' dairy farm. This relocation marked a new chapter in his life, far removed from the bustling cityscape he'd known. The day he turned 12 marked an important milestone in his life. His mother, the lovely Mary Quaresma, gifted him a charm in the form of a gold eighth-note pendant. Since then, Perry has held on to this pendant, believing it to bring good luck his way. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Also, at the tender age of 12, Perry found himself profoundly moved by the song Cupid by Sam Cooke. He heard it playing on the radio in his mother's car. This song was so inspirational to Perry that he was ignited with the desire to become a singer. This spark eventually guided him toward his successful music career. Not too long after his 20th birthday, Perry found himself moving to Sacramento. With dreams of music stardom, he formed a band alongside the then 16-year-old budding music producer, Scott Matthews, a group that they would later call ICE. Matthews took on multiple roles within the band, from co-writing their songs to playing the drums and the guitar, and even lending his voice to some of their melodies. Back in the year 1972, ICE split their time between recording at the Record Plant Studios in Los Angeles during daylight hours and making room for Stevie Wonder to work on his album, Talking Book. When ICE eventually returned to their home city, the band fell apart for several reasons. Lack of proper management, Matthews's schooling commitments, and the fact that their recordings had unfortunately fallen on deaf ears were among the main culprits. Perry packed his bags again in 1975 and moved to Thousand Oaks in California. Here he put together a progressive rock band named Pieces, with musicians like Tim Bogert, who previously collaborated with Jeff Beck, Denver Cross, and Eddie Tudori. Despite their efforts for a year and a half, Pieces couldn't land themselves a record deal, leading to their disbandment. Perry also tried his luck at replacing Rod Evans in Captain Beyond, but was unsuccessful. Moving ahead, Perry found himself in the small town of Banta, nestled outside of Tracy, California. Here, he led the band known as Alien Project in his mid-20s. But when tragedy struck with the death of their bassist, Richard Michaels, in a car accident, Perry was on the brink of leaving his musical aspirations behind forever. He returned to his hometown of Lemoore, planning to set aside his singing career. However, at his mother's insistence, he decided to respond to a call from Walter "Herbie" Herbert, the manager of Journey. This San Francisco-based band was struggling at the time. The Journey manager, Herbert, was introduced to a tune from the Alien Project named If You Need Me, Call Me. Scott Matthews, the song's producer, proposed to Herbert that the young vocalist could be an excellent replacement for then-leading man Robert Fleischman. Fleischman had never signed a contract with Herbert's company, opting to stick with his former manager instead. He also had yet to fully blend with the band's progressive rock style at the time. The band then invited this young artist, Perry, for a tour, introducing him as a roadie's cousin from Portugal, just to keep Fleischman in the dark. One fine day at a sound check in Long Beach, Perry secretly performed a song with the band while Fleischman was away. Not long after this incident, Herbert gave the news to the band that Perry was their new front runner. Perry introduced a fresh, pop-infused style to the band's music. This was met with some reservations from the existing band members and fans who were fond of Journey's progressive rock sound. Perry made his first public appearance in San Francisco on October 28, 1977, receiving a varied response. However, Perry's first album with the group, Infinity, went on to win new admirers. It featured a song he'd penned himself titled Lights. The band's style had witnessed a massive transformation. Still, as their album Infinity began receiving airplay and media attention, Perry's induction was wholly embraced. Perry's unique vocals can be heard on 9 of Journey's albums: Infinity, Evolution, Departure, Dream After Dream, Captured, Escape, Frontiers, Raised on Radio, and Trial by Fire. The song Open Arms from the Escape album was their most successful hit, ranking at number 2 for 6 straight weeks on the Billboard Hot 100. During his spell with Journey, Perry also lent his voice to several songs by Sammy Hagar, adding backing vocals to the 1980 tracks The Iceman and Run for Your Life. He also partnered with Kenny Loggins for the 1982 hit Don't Fight It, which reached number 17 on the charts. Neal and Steve were good friends initially, but later they disagreed over the band's direction, and Perry left Journey. For example, Neal Schon once spoke up about Steve Perry. Shon took a walk down memory lane to muse over the band's long and eventful history. The popular band, adored for timeless hits such as Don't Stop Believin', has certainly had its fair share of bumps and challenges along the way. Among these were the rather notorious disagreements between Shon and Journey's former lead vocalist, Steve Perry. Once great friends, their relationship took a sour turn over time, often locking horns on matters related to the band's heritage and financial matters. Back in the day, Steve Perry was a new addition to the band, joining a group already filled with seasoned musicians. In a chat with GQ magazine in the year 2008, Perry confessed feeling like a bit of an odd one out, wrestling with the task of proving his worth to the band. Shon, who had been part of Journey from the very start, had set the bar high for Perry and pushed him to elevate his game. As time went by, the undercurrent of tension started making waves. A significant bone of contention between the two was the rather sensitive topic of money. Money makes the world go round, but for many bands and musicians, it can also be a source of tension and conflict. Shon couldn't wrap his head around the idea of Perry still reaping financial benefits from the band's accomplishments, given that Perry was no longer an active contributor. In Shon's view, it seemed inequitable for Perry to keep pocketing profits without participating in the band's relentless toils. Perry, contrarily, felt that he was often the subject of negative chatter within the band, an allegation Shon strongly refuted. Shon clarified that his intentions were merely to recount the band's saga when questioned, without any intention to tarnish Perry's image. Things took a turn for the worse in the year 2022 when Perry took a legal route, instigating a lawsuit involving the copyrights for a set of 20 Journey songs. Shon stood his ground and justified his actions. He explained that his intent had always been to safeguard the band's legacy and rights, and he pointed the finger at Perry and others for attempting to unfairly wrestle control. Although Perry subsequently withdrew the lawsuit, the incident did nothing to mend their tattered relationship. Adding another layer of complexity, Jonathan Cain, another member of Journey, threw accusations at Shon. He criticized Shon for exploiting Perry's contributions while taking all the glory for guarding the band's rights. Again, Shon stood firm against these allegations, emphasizing that his primary goal was always to uphold and preserve the sanctity of Journey's musical heritage. The disagreements between Shon and Perry may have led to a rift in their friendship, but there is no denying the impact that Perry had on Journey's musical journey. His unique voice and writing style helped shape the band's sound and paved the way for their enduring success. Despite personal differences, both men will always be remembered as key members of one of America's most beloved bands. Moreover, even after his departure from Journey, Steve Perry continued to make music and release solo albums. In 1994, he released For the Love of Strange Medicine, which featured the hit song You Better Wait. He also collaborated with other artists such as John Bon Jovi and Bryan Adams. In addition to his musical contributions, Steve Perry also significantly impacted the lives of Journey's fans. His emotionally charged performances and meaningful lyrics resonated with listeners all over the world, solidifying Journey's place in music history. While conflicts may have arisen within the band, there is no denying that Steve Perry played an integral role in shaping Journey into the iconic band they are today. And even though he may not be part of their current lineup, his influence and legacy will continue to live on through their timeless music. Do you think friendships within bands are necessary for their success? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with all your friends.